You're listening to the Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. Great. What's that? Well, it's a newscast. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media, and we're pretty good at it. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. We differentiate between commentary and news on this broadcast. Commentary is opinion. Okay, editorialization of the news, not our thing. We do make comment, however, but that is not news. You have your opinion, I have mine. Let's compare, let's debate. And of course, this doesn't go anywhere without you. And so thanks very much for joining us. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Very important Supreme Court decisions being made. And one of them was made this morning. And this is how NBC dealt with this. It was a special report as they joined their broadcast day earlier today. So let's take a look at this NBC report on a Supreme Court ruling that's important.
We're coming on the air with some breaking news from the Supreme Court that could impact gun laws nationwide. The High Court has just ruled on a ban on so-called bump stock devices. Those are those gadgets that attach to semi-automatic firearms and allow them to fire faster without more pulls on the trigger. The ban, as you might recall, was imposed by the Trump administration after the 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas, when that shooter used firearms equipped with those bump stocks to kill 58 people and injure 500 more at an outdoor concert. At issue in this case was whether using a bump stock accessory actually converts the weapon into a machine gun. Machine guns are weapons with strict regulations throughout this country. There's a lot to unpack right now. Let's bring in our senior legal correspondent, Laura Jarrett, to walk us through the decision. Our chief White House correspondent, Peter Alexander, also with us to talk about potential political implications here. At the heart of this case, essentially, the mechanism of the bump stock itself and potential implications for owners as well. This was a 6-3 decision.
Yeah, it split along ideological lines, familiar ideological lines, with Justice Thomas writing for the majority, the conservative court here. It's an interesting rule here. This was the Biden administration, the Biden Justice Department, defending a rule that had been done under the Trump administration. As you mentioned, in the wake of the Vegas shooting, the most deadly mass shooting still in the modern history. And essentially, because the bump stock, the accessory that makes it easier to fire, doesn't meet the definition of a machine gun, it means they exceeded their authority. Now, it doesn't mean Congress couldn't come along and pass a different federal law, but it's not for the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, to do by itself. And therefore, the rule will be thrown out. And so gun users will be able to use bump stocks from now on.
The oral arguments that the justices did seem to be a bit divided over the contraption itself. There seemed to be some confusion over the bump stock, how it worked, and whether it constituted our understanding of a machine gun.
Yeah, and clearly Justice Thomas thought it did not meet that definition. We're still going to work our way through the dissent. There was a lot of question about the actual mechanism during oral argument, and they were clearly deeply divided on it. It went through the lower court process. Obviously, the lower court thought that it had exceeded its definition, and so the Supreme Court is essentially affirming that lower court ruling now, not disturbing the status quo, which had already put the rule under the Trump administration on hold. Now, we should mention this is not the only decision on guns from the High Court.
Right.
They still have more left to say here as it relates to whether someone who has a protection order, essentially a restraining order for domestic violence, can own a firearm. But this is another big decision from the High Court after a monumental decision just 2 years ago saying that people could arm themselves in public. So this is another time where the court is now weighing in on such an important hot button issue for the day.
I'll just say very quickly, this is going to be another sort of point of distinction that the Biden campaign is going to try to capitalize on. We expect to hear from them a short time from now. Reproductive rights, obviously, being another example of this. President Biden, who just this week spoke to a big gun, a group that is pursuing gun restrictions right now, has made the case that if he is reelected, he's going to try to pursue an assault weapons ban. And Donald Trump, for his part, has said in recent months that he would roll back any Biden attacks on the Second Amendment if reelected.
All right, so there you have it. That is a situation whereby the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled once again along ideological lines, and that is a 6-3 decision. This is not necessarily a good thing because I got to be honest with you, I really am not able to figure out just exactly how the Constitution and all of these learned jurists can come up with such divergent opinion. It seems to me that this is very straightforward, unless, of course, there is politics involved. If that is the case, if politics is involved, then we don't have an apolitical judiciary. And all these people that are attacking the Supreme Court along ethics lines, in my particular view, you know, if that's the real problem with the Supreme Court is politics, not ethics. And so if indeed politics is the rule of the day, then these Supreme Court justices should stand for election during national elections. In other words, during presidential elections. They should have 12-year terms. Every third presidential election, then there would be 3 members of the Supreme Court elected by the people of the United States. I mean, if they're going to play politics, then by all means, let them be politicians. But if they're not going to play politics, then you ought to be able to look at the Constitution and come up with similar, if not exactly the same, understanding and opinion. Here's the story from CNN. The Supreme Court struck down a federal ban on bump stocks approved by President Donald Trump. The latest opinion from a conservative court rolling back firearms regulations. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote the opinion for the 6-3 court. The court's liberal wing, led by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, dissented. Trump had pushed for the ban in response to a 2017 mass shooting that killed 58 people at an outdoor music festival in Las Vegas. Bump stocks allow a shooter to convert a semi-automatic rifle into a weapon that can fire at a rate of hundreds of rounds a minute. That is not what happens. The bump stock doesn't convert the weapon into anything. The weapon remains the same weapon. What it does is it allows you to pull the trigger much faster. And yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's an automatic weapon. That being said, a bump stock does not convert a semi-automatic rifle into a machine gun any more than a shooter with a lightning-fast trigger finger does. Even with a bump stock, a semi-automatic rifle will fire only one shot for every function of the trigger, wrote Justice Clarence Thomas. The ban was challenged by a Texas gun store owner, Michael Cargill, who purchased 2 of the devices in 2018, turned them over to the government after the prohibition was implemented, and then promptly sued to get them back. The federal rule made possession of a bump stock a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Though the case did not rely on the Second Amendment, it did put the debate about guns back in the court's docket in one of the most closely watched controversies this year. In that sense, the decision was the latest from the High Court to side with gun rights groups. CNN continues that Sonia Sotomayor wrote a scathing dissent, joined by the court's other 2 liberal justices, that the majority ruling will have deadly consequences. That's a quote. The decision, she wrote, quote, hamstrings the government's efforts to keep machine guns from gunmen like the Las Vegas shooter, unquote. It is not a machine gun. A bump stock does not turn a rifle into a machine gun. It doesn't do anything to the rifle. It makes the shooter capable of pulling the trigger more often. When I see, okay, so this is something worth considering. This is from Sonia Sotomayor's dissent. Quote, when I see a bird that walks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, I call that bird a duck, unquote. A bump stock equipped semi-automatic rifle fires automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. Because I, like Congress, call that a machine gun, I respectfully dissent. At least you put the word respectfully in there. Okay, let's see. A bump stock equipped semi-automatic rifle fires automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. Not true. That is completely wrong. A single function of the trigger does not, in this particular case using a bump stock, a single function of the trigger does not cause the weapon to fire automatically. It's fascinating. Okay, so a bump stock works like this. You have a rifle in your arms. Okay, you have a rifle in your hands. You push forward on it, the rifle fires, and then as the recoil comes back, what happens is the bump stock loads up your finger again, and then as the rifle functions, as it cycles, your finger pulls the trigger again. The only thing that's automatically working is your finger, not the rifle. Now, that being said, let's talk about the reality here. This is something that Sotomayor is talking about. The reality of this situation is indeed that if I took you to a rifle range, and if I put you in a position where you were standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody with a fully automatic M16 and an AR-15 that was equipped with a bump stock, if I did that and had the two fire in turn, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. That's where Sotomayor says, if it walks like a duck, if it swims like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. A small aside here. I wonder what she would say if she saw a woman walking down the street. If it walks like a woman, if it talks like a woman, if it hassles her husband like a woman, is it a woman? There are some justices on the Supreme Court that wouldn't be able to answer that question. Anyway, let's move on. Sotomayor does say, okay, look, this, for all intents and purposes, renders a semi-automatic rifle capable of automatic fire. And I suppose that's true. As far as this 2017 shooting in Las Vegas, where bump stocks were used, the vast majority of the killing was with weapons that did not have bump stocks. And so what we have here is we have this warpage. And even in the very words of the Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, joined by the other liberal justices, there are significant errors in both the description and the logic surrounding these bump stocks, which is the hallmark of all of this. At the same time, this is something that requires consideration. Because, like I said, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a fully automatic M16 and a bump stock equipped AR-15. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So are we looking at basically splitting hairs of the law regarding automatic weapons? Maybe. But the other thing about this that people don't realize is that you can fashion a bump stock out of an elastic exercise band. You can do the same thing. And so it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, all you got to do is tie it. You can do the same thing. Okay? Basically tie it to the rifle and tie it to your shoulder and it'll do just fine. So I guess swimming uphill is not something the Supreme Court wanted to deal with, and they just made these bump stocks legal again. Personally, I'm not a big fan of rapid fire. I'm not. I happen to believe that aim shots are much more effective. And you can pull that trigger fast enough, and you can put more rounds on target, in my humble opinion. And somebody can call me on the telephone and say, no, you're wrong, JD. I believe that you can put more rounds on target rapidly with your rapid fire with your finger, just pulling the trigger naturally without a bump stock, than you can by spraying bullets all over the place in any kind of rapid fire situation, whether it's an automatic rifle or whether it's a bump stock equipped rifle. That's just my own personal opinion. What do you think? Give me a call, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. It's Fishing Shirt Friday on the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. It's Fishing Shirt Friday. Normally I wear a very snazzy Wells Report polo, but not on Fridays. And the reason I don't wear them on Fridays is because it's becoming summer in Texas. A heat wave expected next week, and it's hot. And if you live in a hot climate, fishing shirts are magnificent. This is my favorite fishing shirt. It's a Magellan. Yes, you can spend $50 on a fishing shirt. Don't do it. Do not do it. Go to Sports Academy or Academy Sports and get yourself a Magellan fishing shirt. You will thank me. They're magnificent. Fishing Shirt Friday in progress. Thanks very much for being a part of our show. Brad is here, Yvonne is here, and you can be here on the chat room on the platform you are currently watching. Senator Lindsey Graham, the top Republican on the Judiciary Committee, is trying to do something that he sometimes does and sometimes doesn't, which is interject sanity into the workings of the United States Senate. He plans to block an effort by Senate Democrats to unanimously pass a Supreme Court ethics bill that would happen, I guess, next Wednesday on the Senate floor. Yeah, Lindsey Graham says, I will object. I will object. I will object it. That's what he says. Okay? And the reason that he says he's going to do it is because it's the wrong thing to do. More about that in a moment. Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, said that he would make a unanimous consent request to pass Supreme Court ethics legislation that the panel advanced last July. Graham's objection means the bill will not be able to move forward because any senator can block a request like that. It isn't clear whether the measure will come up for a vote under the normal process, but Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, said he's considering it. Even before Graham made his comments, Democrats doubted the legislation would advance. I think I know the outcome, but we're going to go through the exercise to make sure that both parties are on the record, said Durbin. Okay, play your political games. The people of the United States actually understand the value and role of the Supreme Court better than you. And we will have you just leave our Supreme Court alone. Thank you very much. And besides, it's biting the hand that feeds you. The Democrat Party has historically, over the years, used the judicial branch of our government to enact law without the pesky need of democracy and actual votes and representative democracy, which is what a republic is. Yeah. What they do is they just create some sort of public controversy, and then there's a lawsuit, and then it gets into the judicial branch, and then the judge makes a decision. And then there might be an appeal, and then judges make a decision. Might all the way go all the way to the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court makes a decision. And voila, you have enacted a law that did not require the pesky need of people actually making a vote, which is annoying on its face. So the Democrat-led Judiciary Committee advanced the Supreme Court Ethics Recusal Transparency Act on a party line vote nearly a year ago. But the thing about this is they can do anything they want to. Okay? They can. They can do anything they want to. There are three separate branches of government. The legislative branch cannot exert any kind of pressure on the judicial branch. Can't do it. In other words, you cannot determine what the ethics of the judicial branch or the Supreme Court of the United States should be. You can't do it. I'm talking specifically about the Supreme Court here. Okay? You can't do it. It's unconstitutional to even try. So why would you try to pass something that's unconstitutional on its face? The Supreme Court would get that after a lawsuit of some kind. They would get that. It would be a 9-0 decision. No, you're not going to impose ethics. You're not going to make the Supreme Court of the United States a plaything of the legislative branch of the government. No, the problem is not ethics. Like I said, in the Supreme Court, the problem is politics. If these people in the 6-3 vote on bump stocks proves it, if they want to play politics, that's fine. They need to run for election. 3 justices every three national election cycles. That's how you do it. Back with more in a moment on the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Donald Trump does not like Milwaukee. He has called it a horrible city. Why is it a horrible city? Well, because it's run by Democrats, and it's a horrible city in his opinion. So that's why he said it. And apparently this has created the latest campaign kerfuffle because the RNC is going to have their national convention there. The Republican National Convention will be in Milwaukee. And it's a horrible city, and my God, what a terrible thing for the former president to say. They talked about it today on the Today Show. Let's take a little look at that particular report on the Wells Report here for Friday morning.
Are also pouncing on how the former president denigrated a city in a key swing state. What are you learning about that?
Yeah, not just any key swing state city, Laura. It's the city hosting the Republican convention next month. One source in the room says the former president brought up Milwaukee, calling it horrible and overrun by crime. Now, both he and his campaign have pushed back on characterizations of the remarks, saying he was talking specifically about the city's crime rate and alleged voter fraud. But the Biden campaign, Laura, clearly and very quickly saw an opportunity here in a key battleground, with President Biden tweeting, "I happen to love Milwaukee," and the campaign putting up T-shirts with a similar sentiment for sale. Laura?
All right, Hallie. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so there you go. And let me turn that down because you don't want to hear that. So anyway, that is the latest kerfuffle, and it's absolutely jumped on by the Biden campaign. Oh, that's disgusting. Well, I like Milwaukee. Yeah, okay. I wonder if you'd live there if you had a chance, sir. So this is fascinating to me. This is really, really good. There is a very gifted and incredible politician, the mayor of Milwaukee, in fact, that immediately replied to the former president. And I want you to watch this very, very carefully, Friday Mouth. Very, very carefully, because this guy as a politician is really smooth. Check this out.
He's been trying to clarify tonight that he was talking about the crime rate and the 2020 election, not the city overall. What's your response?
Well, it's quite interesting. There's a company here called the Milwaukee Pretzel Company. And as I heard all the responses from Republicans that were in the room, they were twisting themselves into so many different ways, kind of remind me of a pretzel. But the fact of the matter is this, Milwaukee is an excellent city. It's a wonderful city. It's a splendid city. It's a city that the Republican National Committee, Donald Trump's fellow counterparts in the Republican Party, chose as the host city for the Republican National Convention this year. So even according to Republicans, Milwaukee is a great place. And you don't even have to take the word of Republicans for that. Look at all the accolades that are coming to Milwaukee over the course of the last number of years, from Nat Geo to Condé Nast to the businesses that are investing in the city. This is a great place. And the former president and every Republican who will have the chance to come to our great city, they'll see that when they're here on the ground in Milwaukee for the convention.
You have said today there are roughly 50,000 Republicans in the city, in a state that Biden only won by fewer than 21,000 votes. I do wonder if a comment like that coming from Trump could actually cost him the state in November.
Yeah, as you correctly point out, Laura, in Wisconsin, we're a purple state, and statewide elections are decided on a razor-thin margin. And so for the former president to call Milwaukee a horrible place, that's insulting the home to roughly 50,000 people who vote Republican here in this city, who have been here for a long time, who are raising their kids in the city, who spend time at all of the places in Milwaukee, who are integral members to our community right here in Milwaukee. So to call their home horrible, I think is just, it's not the right move. It's kind of bizarre in a way. So I think at the end of the day, when it's in a state that's decided on a razor's edge, that may ultimately cost Donald Trump the election. What I said earlier today was, look, if he thinks that cities are horrible, then we should work in this city and cities all across the country to make sure that he doesn't have to live in another city that he probably thinks is horrible as well, and that's Washington, D.C.
See, I told you the guy was smooth. Cavalier Johnson, he's the mayor of Milwaukee. The man is smooth. That's just all there is to it. And very impressive statement. Now, elsewhere in Trump world, let's talk about the president saying that he has a pretty good idea of who his VP pick is going to be. Probably will announce during the RNC convention. Yeah, in Milwaukee. Trump will likely announce his VP pick at the Republican National Convention, which will be held in July. He said he had sort of a pretty good idea of who his vice presidential running mate will be, but probably will announce his selection during this summer's Republican National Convention. Trump spoke with Fox News' Aisha Hasni at the Washington, D.C. headquarters of the Republican National Committee, this on yesterday, following meetings with the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Probably I don't want to go, but I think I'll probably get it announced during the convention. During the convention, there were some good people, and we have some very good people. Okay, I'm glad you said that, and of course that I'm glad you said that as you said that. Word salad, careful. That's a Kamala Harris thing, sir. You might want to be careful about that. The convention will be held from July 15th through the 18th in Milwaukee. Trump said that Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, could be on the short list. And I think I could consider that. Yes, I haven't been asked that question, but he would be on that list. Hasn't he also asked Trump about his thoughts on President Biden as a father following Hunter Biden's conviction on federal gun charges? Well, I think it's a very serious thing. I understand that whole subject. I understand it pretty well because I've had it with people who have it in their family, referring to the younger Biden's history of drug addiction. It's a very tough thing. It's a very tough situation for a father. And Donald Trump went on to say it's a very tough situation for a brother or sister. It goes on and it's not stopping. Whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever it may be, it's a tough thing. And so it's a tough moment for the family. It's a tough moment for any family involved in that. Hunter Biden was convicted last week for 3 felony charges related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when he lied on federal gun purchase forms by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. Biden said he will not use his presidential power to appeal his son's conviction. He also said in the past he was proud of his son and he believes that he did nothing wrong. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, by the way, if indeed President Trump wins this election, that he does not immediately pardon Hunter Biden. I'm pretty sure that would be not just a conciliatory move, but probably would be a benevolent human being move that I certainly would object to if that indeed happens. Former President Trump also talked at length about his beliefs regarding outer space and the existence of aliens in a podcast this week. He appeared on YouTuber Logan Paul's talk show Impulsive. That's a little stretch there. I just used the Wells Report, But then again, there have been so many other reports that have popped up since I've been using the Wells Report. It's amazing. There's this report, that report, the 2 or 3 other thing report, whatever. Anyway, the president talking about not just illegal aliens, but extraterrestrial aliens. I met with pilots who looked like beautiful Tom Cruise, but taller, handsome, perfect people, Trump told Paul, recalling one pilot telling him, "Sir, there was something there that was round in form, and it's going 4 times faster than my super fighter jet plane." And look at these guys. I really mean it. Despite the testimony from elite pilots, Trump said he would not call himself a believer in aliens. Trump told Paul, "Am I a believer? No, I can't say I am, but I've met with people that are serious people that say there's some really strange things they see flying around out there." The former president also made a brief joke about illegal immigration, telling Paul that they were more concerned about illegal aliens at the southern border than extraterrestrial aliens flying around us. When you say aliens, I say, are they illegal aliens? These UFOs might be illegal, but we don't want to test them. Well, yeah. I mean, if you can fly across the universe probably faster than the speed of light, you don't want to pick a fight with those people for whatever reason. Former president's representatives initially contacted Paul's team and requested to sit down. A source familiar with the matter telling Fox News, Hey, Trump people, why don't you throw the bro a bone? How about you have the president contact me? It'd be a hell of a lot better interview than anybody else has ever interviewed the president. It absolutely would be. Because I'd be able to actually talk to him and ask him questions that he's not going to get asked. Not because I'm trying to play gotcha games. I want to get into a little bit more about the man. I want to find out more about his standards and belief systems and so on. So besmirched by not just his own personal conduct. He has hurt himself. But also because all of this stuff has been blown out of proportion And also, it's a situation whereby all of these attacks on Donald Trump seemingly have not worked. He's been under attack since 2015, and it doesn't seem to be working. And I want to know why he believes it's not working. I want to know why, for the first time in my life, I've seen a national politician, a presidential candidate, even at the outset of his campaign, show up just about anywhere and get a capacity or over capacity crowd. I've never seen that before. I've never seen people driving down the street with Trump flags or flags for any other candidate like we see on the back of pickup trucks. What is it about this guy? What is it about this guy that Americans love? Because they clearly love this man. They truly do. That's what I would ask. I want to hear about that. I also want to hear about just exactly how did we get ourselves into this mess with the deep state and what he plans to do about it and what he thinks about all these people now trembling in fear, apparently, if Trump gets reelected, about what's going to happen with their personal fortunes. Well, you know what? If you don't break the law and you don't lie to the FISA court and you don't break people's constitutional rights and you don't use law enforcement as oppression under color of office, you really don't have a lot to worry about, you know? You just don't. But if you're worried, it's probably because you're guilty of the things I just mentioned. And Donald Trump cleaning that mess up is not revenge. Donald Trump cleaning that mess up is a reckoning. When you blow up the Constitution of the United States over politics, sooner or later, and probably sooner, you're going to get your butt kicked. Because Americans like this country. Americans like America. And you're not going to turn it into a political landfill, cesspool, quagmire, pot of goo simply because you want to have more political power. I got to be perfectly honest with you. How about you learn how to use the political power you have before you ask for anything more? Good heavens to Betsy. So getting back to the horrible city, Donald Trump on Thursday called Milwaukee, where in a little over a month, he's going to be declared the Republican nominee for president, a horrible city. Yeah. He made the comment to House Republicans in a morning meeting at the Capitol Hill, or on Capitol Hill, to discuss campaign strategies among other GOP priorities ahead of the 2024 election. His remarks came 5 days before he's scheduled to visit Racine, Wisconsin for a campaign rally. Milwaukee, where we are having our convention, is a horrible city, said Trump. The remark was first reported by Punchbowl News. Republican members of Wisconsin's congressional delegation had varying accounts of the comments' context, including one who denied that it was uttered at all. Okay, by the way, this is from USA Today. U.S. Representatives Glenn Grothman of the 6th Congressional District, Scott Fitzgerald of the 5th Congressional District, and Tom Tiffany of the 7th Congressional District all told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that Trump made the comments when speaking about the upcoming election. Grothman said Trump, quote, was concerned about the election in Milwaukee and that he thought Trump felt we needed to do better in urban centers around the country, unquote. He also suggested that Trump had concerns that Republicans didn't do very well in Milwaukee. They don't. They don't, and never have. And because it's one of these things where these big municipal areas, for whatever reason, want to continue pursuing leftist politics. Leftist politics. And it doesn't work. And the cities decay. And then they ask for more federal money. And then they either get it or they don't. They complain either way. They don't spend the money on the things that are important, that are wrong in the city. They spend them on these bronze plaques that have their name on them for essentially pork barrel projects. You can't put a bronze plaque on the back of, say, for example, 500 police officers because you made it possible for Milwaukee to have more police officers. But if you can put up a bridge or you can build a park or you can do something along that line, my gosh, it's a bronze plaque. Well, I can get a bronze plaque. My name on a bronze plaque. that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be serving the people's interests, not your own. I wonder if that's ever going to happen. It's the Fishing Shirt Friday edition of the Wells Report. I hope you are having a magnificent day. Absolutely magnificent. Coming up in just a couple of seconds as we continue, Danger Cities. It's an op-ed piece by John McGillian, and we'll be talking about the 5 most dangerous cities in the United States. I wonder if Milwaukee's on that list. Stick around to find out. The Wells Report continues next.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. John McGillian is an opinion contributor for Fox News. And here is what he has to say regarding America's dangerous cities. The 5 most dangerous cities in America share a common thread. They are all governed by Democrats. Every time you talk about murder raid in Chicago or something, some liberal calls you on the telephone or reaches out on the text and says, well, what about Bessemer, Alabama? What about Bessemer, Alabama? It's not Chicago. My God. Well, Bessemer, Alabama has 27,000 people in it. Okay, you kill one person in Bessemer, Alabama, and the statistics can be manipulated to the point where, my God, it's the number 1 murder city in the world. The only problem with that is that Chicago has, I don't know, what is it, 7-8 million people living in it? They kill people every weekend in Chicago. It's like killing people is a national sport there. But no, Bessemer, Alabama. Well, guess what? Bessemer, Alabama, a city of 27,000 residents, The odds of becoming a victim of crime stand at 1 in 9. You've got a greater than 10% chance of being crimed upon. Once hailed as the Marble City for its rapid growth, Bessemer now grapples with the brutal reality of heightened violence, property crimes, motor vehicle thefts. Under the leadership of Mayor Ken Gully, the city's been confronted with a concerning statistic of 33.18 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. A stone's throw away lies Birmingham, another city on the list, emphasizing a distressing trend within the region. The second most city, and according to Mr. Gillian, is Memphis, Tennessee. Paints a rather somber picture with a crime rate soaring 237% above the national average. The city's neighborhoods, including downtown and Parkway Village, Oak Haven, stands as veritable hotbeds of criminal activity. Under the leadership of Mayor Paul Young, Memphis's endeavor to combat crime, that has been largely ineffective. St. Louis, Missouri earns its place on the list with a 1 in 50 chance of falling victim to crime, accentuated by high poverty rates and unemployment. Mayor Tashara Jones' inability to grapple with the city's entrenched issues is costing lives. Detroit, Michigan, perennial on those lists. Its iconic status as the Motor City faces its own set of challenges. Urban decay has fostered an environment ripe for whole hosts of illegal activity, though the efforts to revitalize the city are underway and have been since like the 35 years it's been since I worked there for ABC, by the way. They are still trying to revitalize the city. I mean, you go down there and you see abandoned buildings in the city center. We're talking about skyscrapers, abandoned. The shadow of crime looms very large over Mayor Mike Duggan's watch. Rounding out the top 5, the aforementioned Birmingham, Alabama, where despite concerted efforts by local authorities, crime remains alarmingly high. Mayor Randall Woodfin presides over a city grappling with a violent crime index that defies norms, underscored by the Study Finds report. Sobering reality of these revelations cast a stark light on the issue of crime in America's urban landscape. Democrat-run cities are at the forefront. Why is that? You know, I have been watching this for a very long time. I've been spending a lot of time watching all of this. And not all Democrat ideas are bad ones. Not all Democrat politicians are anti-American snots. Now, you got to understand, they're Republican politicians. There are plenty of Republican anti-American snots and leftists in the Republican Party as well. But let's not get bogged down. Okay? They're not altogether horrible ideas coming out of the Democrat Party. But in order to get those ideas actually considered and so on and so forth, you have to deal with all the other garbage that is essentially a set of millstones around the Democrat Party's neck. What am I talking about? Okay, a Democrat Supreme Court justice that doesn't know what a woman is. The inability to keep boys out of female sports. This ridiculous notion that somehow who you go to bed with confers special political status on you. What freaking difference does it make? Okay, so homosexuality in the past was, oh my God, it was scandalous. It was that. It's 2024. Okay? Love is love. Lovemaking is lovemaking. Okay, it may be something you're not into. So, you know, it's fascinating. The ethos of conservative politics used to be keep politics out of our bedrooms, our billfolds, and our businesses. Right? How about this? How about keep your bedroom out of the social consciousness of the United States? How about that? But now it's different. But in order to, say, for example, get a Democrat idea to the fore, you have to elect enough Democrats to make it happen. When you elect enough Democrats to make it happen, you get the crazy people like AOC. She's a communist. She is a socialist communist. She thinks she's Eva Perón. Okay? And she's not. She's a mouthy barkeep from Queens, New York. I mean, that's all it is, you know? And of course, if you ask her about it, you've got to say that not only is she a mouthy barkeep from Queens, New York, but she also has a juicy booty. You know, people like this hate being disrespected and so on and so forth, but they'll disrespect themselves at the drop of a hat. It's the weirdest thing. You're listening to the Wells Report. John David Wells, thanking you for doing so. Stick around. We've got hour number 2 right around the corner as we continue for Friday.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We depropagandize the mainstream media. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. Opinion is not news. Opinion is not news. I differentiate between my opinion and the news on this broadcast. Always will. Always have. And so your opinion might be different than mine, or it might be the same, but you might have a different take on it. So let's compare. Let's debate. It's news, analysis, commentary, and debate on Fishing Shirt Friday. It's my favorite fishing shirt. It's too big. I'm wearing my big brother's fishing shirt, but damn, this thing is nice. It's a Magellan. You can get them at Academy Sports. Don't buy the Columbia ones. Unless, of course, Columbia is watching and they say, hey, wait a minute, we have a better shirt. I don't think so. I've got some Columbia fishing shirts. They're just ferociously expensive. Magellan's, the official fishing shirt of Fishing Shirt Friday on the Wells Report. It is Friday. It is the 14th day of June, year of our Lord 2024. So, President Biden in Europe doing all kinds of things, and he's at the G7. White House Correspondents Association is upset with the president. Why are they upset with the president? Well, let's take a look. So the president of the United States is working to essentially provide the Ukraine with enough capability militarily to defeat Russia. This courts World War III. It is something that I find epically irresponsible. We need to stop. We need to stop baiting the Russian bear into World War III. We just do. But anyway, that being said, he was having a dual press conference with Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. He's the president there. And they were talking about that. And some reporters stood up and asked a question that was meaningfully off topic, and the president called him on it.
Can you give us your assessment of Hamas's response? And do you believe that they are trying to work towards a deal, or is this response working against a deal? And what is your message to allies, including those here at the G7, about what more, if anything, the U.S. can do to drive towards a peace agreement? Thank you.
I wish you guys would play by the rules a little bit. I'm here to talk about a critical situation in Ukraine. You asked me another subject. I'll be happy to answer it in detail later. But the bottom line is that we've made an agreement. I've laid out an approach that has been endorsed by the UN Security Council, by the G7, by the Israelis, and the biggest hang-up so far is Hamas refusing to sign on, even though they have submitted something similar.
Yeah. So the president, he made it abundantly clear that he was quite dissatisfied with the reporter asking another question about another topic. White House Correspondents Association issued a statement responding to the president. What they said was snapping at a reporter, asking an off-topic question. The president signed a 10-year agreement with Ukraine to continue providing military equipment for its ongoing war with Russia on Thursday. Part of that agreement is, sure, you can use American weapons against Russian targets on Russian soil. It's like, does World War III mean anything to you, President Biden? Anything. You don't do that. You do not hand American weapons to another country fighting another country. You can use the same weapons that the other country is fighting. Say, for example, the Russian military. You can use Russian military equipment, and you could provide that to Ukraine, because what that does is it gives a small bit of protection with regards to what weapons are being used against the Russian army. Okay, that's what happened in the 80s when the United States, through the auspices of the CIA and the Green Berets, trained a whole bunch of the Mujahideen how to defeat the Russian army by knocking down their helicopters more than anything, and did so with Stinger missiles. Excuse me, not Stinger missiles, but they used, it was SA-7 missiles. Those are man-portable anti-aircraft weapons. So what we have here is we have an opportunity where we're actually using American weapons on Russian targets on Russian soil. Stop it, please. And once again, F-16s are going to Ukraine. Why would we give F-16s to Ukraine? They've got MiG-29s. MiG-29s are fine jets. They work just fine. The pilots already know how to fly them. Poland has a bundle of them. If you're going to start playing these games, ask Poland to send the MiG-29s back to Ukraine. They're Ukrainian aircraft anyway. Good heavens to Betsy. What a mistake. What a mistake. So Bloomberg's Josh Wingrove, that was the guy asking the question about the Israeli-Hamas thing. And then, of course, the president said, I wish you guys would play by the rules a little bit. I'm here to talk about a critical situation in Ukraine. You're asking about another subject. Before Wingrove, Biden called on a reporter from the Associated Press who not only asked about the expanding parameters on U.S. weapons into Russia, but also about Biden's son, Hunter. The White House Correspondents Association subsequently put out a statement defending the independence of the free press to ask questions. Quote, the White House Correspondents Association believes it's in the public interest to make clear that a presidential press conference at home or abroad, there are no preconditions regarding question topics. You know, the free press, that First Amendment thing. Hello? Any old way. While the White House does determine the number of reporters the president will recognize, and frankly, the White House also determines which reporters will be called on by the president, it's up to professional journalists to decide what to ask. It continued with a statement, any leader may prefer that reporters ask only one question or ask only about a topic that is of most interest to the president or another world leader. But a free press functions independently. The White House Correspondents Association would welcome more opportunities to pose a range of questions to the president in a press conference setting. Except for this, the president is not capable of answering questions in a press conference setting. He can't do it. He simply can't do it. And so, that being the case, they don't do that. Indeed, in this particular thing, the president was looking down at his notes and says, American reporter, and then called on the AP reporter. Well, okay, so that was a stage direction that wasn't supposed to be spoken. He's done that a lot. You know, it's like he makes a statement, it's an applause line, On the teleprompter comes the word pause, and he reads it. Mr. President, I know you're old, but please do us a favor. Stop looking so old. Please. Now I realize he can't do it. I mean, the guy is on varying potencies of speed. It's the only way to get this guy working. But like I said before, when you give somebody give somebody something to make his mind work better, when he comes down off of it, he degrades a little bit more, and that is a cascadingly lower circumstance. And we've seen that ourselves. I don't know how they're going to get this president into any kind of mental shape to be able to debate Donald Trump in 2 weeks. But I am really concerned the president is going to have an epic meltdown, an epic disaster. And that would be bad for everyone, not just for the chances of President Biden getting a second term. So the White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Fox News on this idea that the White House Correspondents Association really does want to be able to ask any questions they want, and they should be able to. But this is also a problem that they have to deal with. President Biden shows hostility to the press. He's done that during his time in office, particularly to journalists asking off the cuff or controversial questions. The Fox News report that I'm giving you says in February, Biden grew visibly angry during a last-minute evening White House press conference to address special counsel Robert Hur's report that cast doubt on the president's mental fitness. Many of the American people have been watching. They expressed concerns about your age, said CNN correspondent MJ Lee. Biden shouted at her, "That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press." It is the judgment of the press. That's just the way it is. The White House has been accused of pre-screening reporters and questions for the president ahead of news conferences in the past. It's true. The president has a list of people he calls on. He has commented that he would get in trouble if he called on anybody else. And indeed, he has cheat sheets. So the reporter asks the question that has been prearranged. There is a cheat sheet available for the president who reads the cheat sheet. That's not the leader of the free world. That's a puppet. Who came up with the answer on these cheat sheets? Who wrote those cheat sheets? Was it the president that wrote the cheat sheet so he wouldn't lose his place? No. No, it's written by somebody else. Read this word for word, Mr. President. That means the guy's a puppet. There's a committee that decides what the president's answers should be. They write it down on a piece of paper. They prearrange for a reporter to ask the question on the piece of paper. And he reads it. The classic definition of a puppet. Who is the Biden administration? Who makes up the Biden administration? Who is the Biden administration? It's certainly not Joe Biden. Who is it? They're in the background. They're unseen. And that's not how you run a presidency, and that's not who the American people voted for. They did not vote for an anonymous committee handling the puppet strings of a U.S. president. They voted for the U.S. president. For good or ill, the man has to be a president. It's his responsibility to stand up for the office that he holds. He should say to everyone, and from what we understand he has, stop interfering with me. I'm going to do this presidency the way I want to do this presidency. Of course, you know, we saw these gaffes that turned into cleanup on aisle 1600 every single day. Every day. We reported on it here on the Wells Report. But what is epically disturbing in all of this is the fact the president is being managed. Managed by who? Managed by who? There is other news regarding President Biden. A federal judge has blocked the Biden expansion of Title IX in 4 states. calling mandatory gender identity protections, quote, an abuse of power, unquote. U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty granted a preliminary injunction Thursday, referred to the Biden administration's unilateral Title IX changes as a, quote, threat to democracy, unquote. Well, that's an eyebrow raiser. You know it is because I just raised my eyebrows. You want to know more? Stick around. We've got that for you. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Want you to please join us. You can call me on the telephone. It's working. Nobody does, but it sure would be nice if someone would, especially on Friday. And oh, by the way, there's a chat room on the platform that you're watching this broadcast on. Get on the chat room. I will be waiting for you. It is the Wells Report. Stick around. More of this broadcast continues next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer. And again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Hey, Title IX was changed by President Biden. And a federal judge, Terry Doughty, has granted a preliminary injunction and referred to the Biden administration's unilateral Title IX changes as a, quote, threat to democracy. He goes on to say this case demonstrates the abuse of power by executive federal agencies in the rulemaking process. The separation of powers and systems of checks and balances exist in this country for a reason. He's nailed this. By the way, in case you're wondering, if you just joined us, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the regulations against bump stocks in the United States. Not so much getting into the debate of automatic fire, of semi-automatic weapons, and getting into that quagmire. It was about the ATF overstepping its bounds and creating laws out of whole cloth. This was something that this particular version of the judicial branch has been working on, which was reining in executive branch law enforcement power. There should be no law enforcement power in federal executive branch agencies, except, of course, for the FBI. That's it. That is the agency that is chartered to enforce federal law. The DHS should not be making law. CIA, certainly not. NSA, certainly not. None of these people should be making law. The EPA, the Federal Trade Commission, none of them. What they should do is petition the FBI for redress of, say, for example, someone breaking the law. Further, all federal executive branch regulations must be codified by votes in Congress, each and every one. And that's not happening. That's a short circuit of the checks and balances this judge is talking about. Judge Doughty ruled that the changes were inadmissible because of the term gender discrimination as used in the establishment of Title IX, quote, only included discrimination against biological males and females at the time of enactment. Doughty ruled the changes were inadmissible because the term gender discrimination as used in the establishment of Title IX was about biological males and females. The ruling blocks implementation of changes in Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, and Idaho. Title IX is a long-standing civil rights law prohibiting sex-based discrimination in school and other education centers that receive federal funding. See, the way it works is this. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars spent every year on major college football teams, okay? But what about female gymnastics? What about female basketball? Those people, those athletes didn't even have a weight room in some cases. And Title IX remedied that, and it was a good law. I have no problem with Title IX. I think it's fine. I do. I have no problem with it. But when it makes it possible for biological males to compete with biological females, that's that. Yeah, this sex discrimination thing based on gender identity as well as sexual orientation, no go. The latest update from April expanded the definition of discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, a move that critics say would undermine hard-won protection for women and girls. Excuse me? Hard-won protection for women and girls. You've got biological males competing in women's events and taking scholarships and so on and so on. What are you doing? Okay, Title IX was intended to make female athletes better, give them more resources, not give them fewer resources or give away their sports to biological males. Title IX, leftist idea, liberal idea, good idea. But look what happens when you elect too many of these leftist, progressive, liberal people. Before you know it, Title IX, instead of protecting women's sports, is undermining women's sports to the point of ruin by allowing biological males to compete with biological females. It's idiocy. That's why we have got to stop electing leftist crazy people. And they're on both sides of the political spectrum, by the way. Republicans have leftist crazy people, too. Mitch McConnell, ring a bell? Anyway, as we continue with the Wells Report, we will continue with the Wells Report. Stop judging me. I know it was silly.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report, and we bring you news, analysis, commentary, and debate. We also report the news honestly and fairly. We report the news honestly and fairly, and we do point out fact and bias. And normally, the fact and bias is easy because, well, you got the leftist news media who reports the news from a leftist lens, and it's terrible, and it's biased, and it's awful. But there's also right-wing bias in the news, and we point that out too. There's also just plain dishonest reporting. Again, a lot of that happens from the leftist media, but not this time. I'm going to show you two videotapes. Or two, there's no more videotape. I don't know why I keep saying that. It's like people say, yeah, they went out and they filmed that. They haven't filmed anything for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Nothing. Not even the movies. Anyway, that being said. Yeah. President Biden is in Italy. He's there for the G7. And Giorgia Meloni is the prime minister of Italy. I want you to take a look at President Biden being greeted by Prime Minister Meloni. And I want you to take a look at what happens when you see this particular video. There's no sound. There you go. All right. Do you see that? You know what that is? That was immediately categorized as President Biden's serial hair sniffing. No. In Europe, when you meet someone, it is customary to kiss them on both cheeks. And you do it together. It's a nice little, it's very nice. It is. It's truly nice. I don't believe that President Biden's back works well enough to be able to hunch down to Prime Minister Meloni, and therefore he just on each side of her head. Okay? That was not serial hair sniffing. But wait, there's more. This is what I consider to be just plain dishonest reporting. I want you to look at this as well here on the Wells Report. That was categorized as President Biden wandering off in a field and had to be brought back by Prime Minister Meloni. The man is out of it. He's completely lost his mind. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe the president has lost his mind. That's not what we're dealing with here. But the president of the United States was not meandering into an Italian field just because he was wandering off. That particular enclave of G7 leaders, they were standing in front of a bunch of paratroopers that just hit the ground. Okay? And the president clearly walked back to those paratroopers, interacted with them, gave them thumbs ups. That's what he did. And then, of course, the picture. Let's take the picture. That's why we're here. And Prime Minister Meloni walked back, grabbed the president by the arm, and led him back to the photograph site. Okay? Now look, it is abundantly plain that President Biden is impaired. It is. But it is also abundantly plain that in this election year, journalists of the right and the left will totally destroy their credibility and ethical standards by misreporting what's going on. The president does not need any extra heaping of silliness upon his normal level of silliness. You don't have to manufacture a Biden gaffe or a wandering off. The guy doesn't know how to get off a stage. That's true. He doesn't know whether there's a chair behind him. Thank goodness Jill Biden was standing next to him. When he tried to sit down on a chair that did not exist, the man would have hit the ground. And she just covered up her face and said, Joe, stand up. Okay? And he did, fortunately. But for whatever reason, he thought he should sit down. Look, that's impairment. But let's be honest about this impairment. Let's not make the president look any more dumb than he already does. Let's have a little bit of respect for the presidency of the United States. I guarantee you, I understand that the left of America, including the leftist corrupt media, does not return the favor to, say, for example, President Trump. But there's a thing in the United States military. You may not like the person wearing the rank, but you salute the rank, not the person. Because it is respect for those people who carry the officer rank, and by and large, a vast majority do it very well. But there are some there are various reasons why people don't get along. All right? But you salute the rank nonetheless. And whether you hate President Trump to the core of your being, whether you hate President Biden to the core of your being, the word president is not something that you hate, nor want to hate. Honor the office, if not the holder of it. Male or female, by the way. Come on. Let's not make this worse. Let's not make it worse than it already is. This is bad. We have a president who's a puppet. We have a president making these statements that are written by others. Who? So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. All right. There's also something else when it comes to media bias that we have to pay attention to. Okay, this is from the National Review. All right. June is traditionally the last month of the Supreme Court's annual term. Every year brings it with a flurry of major rulings with the most consequential cases of the day. And this year, there's a lot of attention being paid because there is a decidedly conservative court. The decidedly conservative court is ruling in a decidedly conservative fashion, and the left is going crazy. Now, the left had no problem whatsoever when it was a leftist court, and as I've said time and time again, the left routinely uses the judicial branch of our government to enact law that otherwise couldn't be gotten through the House of Representatives or the Senate or both and signed by a president. So they just enact it in a federal or state courtroom. Makes no difference. Okay? So the Supreme Court is now under attack. There are aged members of the Supreme Court. They are conservatives. They are being attacked. Justice Alito, Justice Clarence Thomas. They are being attacked by the left because they want them to resign from office. They're putting them under pressure. It is so ridiculous that there are senators in the United States Senate that want Alito to resign based on the fact that his wife put up an American flag upside down. Really? Seriously? Yeah. It's ridiculous. And my God, Clarence Thomas. Oh, that guy. Oh, he's dirty. He's accepting gifts from a real estate developer. Okay. Does Senator Melendez ring a bell to anyone? Menendez, sorry. Does that ring a bell? Anyway, so now they're trying to come up with a code of ethics for the Supreme Court. Never going to happen. Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. They have their own ethical laws. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court enforces those particular ethics. If somebody steps out, he nails them. Okay? But they keep it out of the public eye. And they keep it out of the public eye because it's the right thing to do. Because you don't want to besmirch the reputation of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's the last word when it comes to the Constitution. The Supreme Court can make a law disappear based on something that they decide. As we found out in Roe v. Wade, they can also make a law appear. Not just a law, but a constitutional amendment, which was flawed on its face. So all that being said, we have this idea about the Supreme Court is just too conservative, it's radical, it's this, it's that, and blah, 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 blah. And so, leftist documentary filmmaker and activist Laura Windsor surreptitiously recorded two of the court's members, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Samuel Alito, at a recent Supreme Court Historical Society dinner. The society is one of the few events where members of the public can interact with justices, albeit only through donating at least a few $100s to the charity. In the recordings, Windsor asked the two justices about their views on religious liberty, political polarization, and the court's role in it. She was baiting these guys to say something scandalous so that she could exploit it. And, oh, by the way, move forward with this leftist agenda of attacking members of the Supreme Court. See, these Supreme Court justices are smart. They didn't fall for it. And everybody is sitting around saying, my God, that's dirty pool. Why in heaven's name would some leftist scumbag try to get somebody who's from the conservative side of American politics or perceived conservative side to say something awful? That's dirty pool. It's radical. Sorry, that's journalism. In this particular case, it's political dishonesty. But hidden camera interviews, in this case, a hidden recording interview, is something that happens routinely. And for those people that think that Lauren Windsor is now the arch enemy of American freedom and liberty in the country, all I have to do is bring you Project Veritas. Project Veritas. Remember Project Veritas? Project Veritas was a famous journalistic group that worked their way through hidden camera interviews and really got a lot of very compromising things done. Got it on videotape. And it was all unethical. Well, not all of it. Some of it was unethical. Right? Like, for example, the COVID vaccine, they famously got a guy who was gay. They seduced him into coming to a bar with a supposed other gay person. And there was alcohol involved. And that guy said some things about Big Pharma that were very damaging to Big Pharma. But who paid for the alcohol? The entire interview was based on dishonesty. And that was James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. All's fair in love, war, and politics. It may not be right, but it's fair. All right? So before we start talking about Laura Windsor as some leftist crazy person who's trying to destroy the United States of America. Okay, just remember James O'Keefe in Project Veritas. So there are people here that believe that this is a partisan broadcast. It's not. It's a factual one. It's a constitutional one. The founding charters of America are what we stand for. Those know no politics. That's the basic compact of the American government to the people of the United States. This charter given from the people of the United States to the government of the United States to operate in the interests of the people. What we've seen and what I rail against on this broadcast is the government serving itself instead of the people. We hammer Republicans just as much as we hammer Democrats here. Because as I've discovered over the years, the problem isn't evil Democrats or evil anti-woman Republicans. It's politicians that believe their power is more important than this country. Herb Brooks coached the 1980 Olympic hockey team. One of his famous quotes is, "The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back." He was referring to the jerseys. I don't care don't care who you talk about. I mean, I'm sure that there are members of the House of Representatives and the Senate that don't actually operate this way. But at some level, everybody who gets one of those offices for whatever reason believes that they are somehow elevated into a strata of special thought. They are not. They're not. They are there to represent the people, not the party, not the government, the people. And we elect the wrong ones to hold those offices. So when you start talking about how evil this leftist journalist is, if she's a journalist, then you have to understand that we do it too, or conservatives do it, and we should stop it. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Today is June 4th. Make that June 14th. Today is June 14th, year of our Lord 2024. It's Friday, Fishing Shirt Friday to be exact. It is our uniform of the day. But there are others in uniform for which this day is not just resonant, but it is inspiring and filled with pride. The Continental Army of the United States of America was created on 14 June 1775. Actually, it wasn't the United States of America. It was the 13 original colonies. The Second Continental Congress created the U.S. Army on this date in 1775 as a unified army for the colonies to fight Great Britain. George Washington was appointed its commander. The army was initially led by men who had served in the British Army or colonial militias, who fought much of the British and had much of the British military heritage with them. as the Revolutionary War progressed. French aid, resources, and military thinking helped shape the new army. It is thus the 249th birthday of the United States Army. And they have created this for you to watch. So by all means, please do so.
The Army was established on June 14, 1775, and has played a vital role in the growth of our nation ever since. This year marks our 249th birthday. From the Revolutionary War to today, Army soldiers and civilians have defended our nation's freedom and liberty.
Every day, our soldiers and civilians inspire me with their professionalism and commitment to being all they can be.
Our Army is the world's most powerful and effective land force.
Our motto is "This will defend." Those words make clear what we owe the American people. We will continue to keep that commitment as our Army has done for the past 249 years.
We answer the call to live with purpose, to make a difference, to stand firm when others may falter.
Since 1775, U.S. Army soldiers have answered the call to service, standing alongside one another to support and defend our Constitution, country, and the American people. This we'll defend.
As we look back on 249 years of service to our great nation, we recognize the people that make our Army great. You.
Happy birthday, Army.
Happy birthday, U.S. Army. Proud to serve with all of you.
Happy birthday, Army.
Cool, huh? Yeah, the U.S. Army. 249 years old today. Some interesting statistics, in case you're wondering. There are 452,689 active duty personnel in the U.S. Army. There are 325,218 Army National Guard personnel, including my son Mitchell, who's a Sergeant First Class in the North Carolina National Guard. There are 1,073,200 total uniform personnel, 330,000 civilian personnel. There are 4,406 crewed aircraft, in other words, aircraft that are run by crews. They are part of the United States Armed Forces, and this we'll defend is their motto. I serve with former members of the United States Army in the Texas State Guard, and while I talk about the Texas State Guard, there are a couple of things you need to keep in mind. Nothing I say about that organization or the Texas Military Department, which, by the way, purveys over the Texas National Guard and the Texas Air National Guard and the Texas State Guard. Nothing I say on this broadcast should be construed as official policy on the part of any of those organizations. It's just solely me. I'm a soldier in the Texas State Guard and proud of it. I work with a lot of guys who have served in the United States Army brilliantly, valiantly, with courage, conviction, and their share of tragedy. While the Texas State Guard is not the U.S. Army or a part of the U.S. Army, we do follow U.S. Army regulations, traditions, etc. And I am proud to be able to have not a part of that experience, but I'm very proud of having proximity to that experience. The United States Army came from the Continental Army, and everybody was talking about how we were so smart because what we did was hide behind rocks and trees when the British Army would stand in these nice regimented lines. And yeah, that's exactly what happened when we were getting our butts kicked in the first part of the war. We almost didn't have a United States of America. And then Frederick von Steuben, who was a German military officer who came to the aid of George Washington at his request and trained the Continental Army by taking 120 guys dressed in rags, starving, and turned them into the Continental Army of the United States using the first Army Field Manual. the regulation for the order and discipline of the Continental Army. And so, why was this guy available as a small little side note? Well, because he was gay. He was tossed out of the Prussian army. So if you have problems with gays in the military, you better thank gays in the military, because without them, you would be speaking with a British accent. U.S. Army, happy birthday. Hooah. Well done. And thank you for all of your service. This is the Wells Report. Thank you very much for being a part of it. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. And until Monday, when we see you again, be safe, make good decisions. Enjoy your weekend. Well, all right then. I did not go to the chat room yesterday. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's see. Have a great show. Oh, great show, JD. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. I had a couple of tough ones at the beginning of the year. Beginning of the week. Had a tough couple of shows. My mind was broken. Don't know why, but things are better now. Maybe it's because I actually have gotten some sleep. I don't know. It could be. So God bless all y'all. Take good care. And thanks again for being a part of the broadcast. Until Monday, we will see you then. And please do follow